Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 300th episode of the Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar Podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Elyachar, the chief content producer and writer of jakestake.com, a pop culture entertainment news podcast. If you're listening to this on our audio, please give us a 5-star rating. After this episode is done, please go to my YouTube page and please subscribe. It is episode 300. I never have thought I would make it this far when I started this podcast way back in November 2019. I want to say thank you so much to all of the guests and their publicists who have trusted my brand and who have visited this podcast. I want to thank all of you who listened and who watched this episode. And I want to say thank you so much for your support. Really means the world to me. And that being said, it's time to introduce the 300th guest. This guest, as of this recording, he is a legendary dancer, choreographer, and creative director. He has danced under NSYNC, Usher, and Missy Elliott. He has choreographed for the likes of JoJo, Siwa, Carmen, Katy Perry, and Lady Gaga. As of this recording, he has over 170,000 Instagram followers. Please help me welcome Richy Jackson to the 300th episode of the Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar Podcast.
Woo! Hey, Jacob.
Richy, thank you so much for being on this Milestone episode. It's an honor to have you. And I got to say this, you have worked with some of my all-time favorite artists. And so to have someone that has worked with all of them, it's amazing to have you here. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I'm happy to be here for your 300th episode. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So, Ricky, let's get started. When did you get interested in performing, and how did that passion evolve into the desire to pursue a career in the entertainment industry?
Very interested to perform when I was a young kid, 3, growing up just dancing. My mom was a choreographer, was a cheerleader instructor. And so just being around her and cheerleaders and the cheerleading, world was like very inspiring. On top of the fact that I also played percussion. So I was a drum major, a drummer. I just loved music in all its aspects. And around 18, I grew up going to clubs, and it just turned my life around, just like being in the atmosphere of music and dancing. And having went to college for about a year and a half, Jacob, to become a lawyer, which is what I thought I was going to do. I happened to be in my dorm room and I was watching a music video by the artist Aaliyah. The song was called Are You That Somebody? And when I'd seen one of my old friends dancing with her, I simply said, oh my God, if he can do it, I can do it. So I dropped college 3 days later, moved back to my hometown for about a year, which is Fairfield, California, which is outside of San Francisco. And then from there, moved to LA. And I literally thought that my career would be like getting on one person's music video, just someone's music video or someone's stage show. But after like 3 to 6 months, my first job was dancing for Will Smith. And then from there was NSYNC, it was Usher, it was Missy Elliott. I did Coke commercials. I also was one of the few early iPod commercials that were out. I did those, as well as I was also the iPod billboard. So I had never in a million years imagined that I would ever be doing anything as much as I had been doing at that time. So it was really exciting and it was a dream come true, but I literally was like going down the rabbit hole of like being a dancer in the industry, and I had no idea would ever get to where it got.
Richy, I got to say this, and the iPod, I was one of the first users of the iPod. It meant, and to hear and seeing those iconic ads, that must have been amazing.
Yes, Jacob, it was really, what's the word? It was just crazy because back then, there were these huge auditions for what we didn't even know was an Apple iPod, because they would basically have it under another alias, like C&H Sugar or like a Colgate commercial. So what happens, you would go in there and you would basically freestyle dance in front of a choreographer and Apple, and then you wouldn't even know what you were auditioning for. And then later on, when you got called, well, at least when I called my agent, he said, yes, so you got this thing called Apple iPod. And I was like, what is that? Like, no one knew what these Apple iPods were. So to be one of the first to actually like hold what, at least for now, because our phones are so small and thin, but back then was almost like a brick size. And, they had the headphones attached to our ears with clamps, and we had to dance and freestyle for like 3 minutes, and so they can create the silhouettes. And then also a little known fact is the iPod billboards that were all around the world was an entire separate audition. So you had to audition again under another alias of like what we were auditioning for to even get the billboard spots. So it really was a battle to try to get those campaigns, but they were amazing.
And I gotta say, bravo, because they definitely made a young impression on not just me, but all people around the world.
Yes.
Alrighty, so who were some of the performers that inspired you?
Some of the big ones for me, I mean, I'm sure you've heard those names, just like the greats: Janet Jackson, Michael Jackson, Madonna, Kiss, Whitney Houston. I mean, these were just the people that like I think that like really like curated like great pop moments in history, and those are the ones that I didn't know that I was studying them, but that's who I loved. I love Michael Jackson's Thriller. I think that's my favorite video of all time. I think it was groundbreaking as well as game changing. I love Janet Jackson's Rhythm Nation. I love Janet Jackson's If. I love Madonna's fearlessness. I love Whitney Houston's classiness, and I love that Kiss wore makeup. And those all together are just like what makes, in my opinion, like pop culture just go wild. And that's who I loved and studied.
Absolutely, absolutely. I gotta say this. I tell people all the time, especially on our Halloween episode, Thriller spooked the heck out of me, but it's still one of the most powerful. Seriously, the Meerkat transformation terrified me.
Yes, no. When I was a young kid, the only part I could not watch was him changing into the werewolf because they like showed it. And still to this day, like I just won't watch that part. Definitely not alone and definitely not in the dark. I'll skip past that and I'll watch the rest of the music video. That part is still like dun 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 every time I see it. So
Oh yeah,
I'm with you, Jacob.
absolutely. I agree completely. And I gotta say, I had the privilege of seeing Janet Jackson in Berkeley, and she put on an incredible show, and seeing her do Rhythm Nation. It's amazing.
Yes, it is 100%.
Alrighty, so we're not here to talk about the legends, even though we would have a totally separate podcast about that, but we're here to talk about you. So, Richy, throughout your career, you had a unique opportunity to work as a dancer in several music videos for Jay-Z, Chazé, Carrie Hilson, Missy Elliott, NSYNC, and Usher. What were some of the most memorable moments that you experienced from your time on those sets?
I would say honestly, everyone's kindness. You don't know what you're going to get into when you're meeting these huge celebrities. Working with Missy, I did Missy's Gossip Folks video, and she was just so cool. And just being able to just dance alongside her. Again, these are all like in my mind. I'm like, WTF? Like, oh my god! Like, I can't believe that I'm like here. But meanwhile, I'm like keeping it calm, keeping it cool. So Missy was just great. She was comedy on set, and she just had a really good time. Usher was just like one of the like first people who I went and saw in concert. I saw him open up for Janet Jackson's Velvet Rope tour, and so to then be in the room with him and on stage with him was just so like I have to tell you, like, Jacob, just it's just so wild because I had just watched him open up for her like I don't know, maybe like 3 years prior. I'm guessing right now, and to just have been in the room with him and someone who was just such a dynamic dancer was incredible. Doing NSYNC's Dirty Pop, I mean, the set, Jacob, that set was built. And so when you walked in there, it looked like Disneyland. And that was the most incredible part about even dancing with them. I know it's in sync, and of course it was great dancing alongside of, the boys and like skating around Justin as he's like on this turntable. And mind you, I didn't even know how to skate. They asked for people who could skate and who want to skate around Justin, and I was just like, "You're gonna say yes because it's Justin Timberlake. You're gonna say you can skate." Meanwhile, you have no idea. I was praying that did not fall because I had never skated before. But on top of that, just being on set and just seeing such an amazing set built with such incredible dancers was cool. So all that to say is that every one of my different experiences, even like dancing with Will Smith was one of my first stage shows I had ever done. He was just so kind, and I remember like the Fresh Prince of Bel Air, like some of the cast members were like coming through and hanging out, and it just was incredible. So I had the most amazing early dance years ever. I never knew what I was getting into, but I was always thankful for what came out of them.
Absolutely. And I'm so grateful to hear all that. And the thing is, I have a horrible equilibrium balance. So I hate, like, so skating in front of Justin Timberlake and potentially falling down is a big fear. And I'm glad you survived it.
Trust. I was as afraid as you are because that was it. It was so exciting, but so scary at the same time. Like it was crazy.
Awesome. So I want to talk to you about the transition between dancer and choreographer. So was it difficult to do that?
No, what I've told people is that the hardest part about that transition, at least for me, was making sure I had learned enough lessons about, how to be around different artists and deal with, managers and producers and directors and basically trying to make things work. And the hardest part about that transition, Jacob, is what you're not prepared for. If something needs to be changed right now, or it has to be fixed on the set, or if all of a sudden you've created an entire routine, but now what you thought, someone might have been wearing a jeans and a t-shirt, they're now wearing like a full-blown gown. Like, what do you do? And so the transition for me was always about, okay, what's to come? And so, in between dancing and being a choreographer, I also was an assistant choreographer. So it was in that time frame that I learned so much, just about what to do, how to do it, how to deal with people, how to work with people, and how to compromise. It is a give or take moment. So learning those lessons then helped me to become a choreographer. And therefore, by the time I got to that moment, Jacob, I felt so much more prepared for the unknown. And if you can still get an amazing choreographed piece out of it all, then you've done it. Because there is so much more you have to deal with than what people think. It's a lot more than just creating steps, is all I would say.
That's incredible. And I got to say, one video that you have played a part in is probably one of the most talked about and most viewed videos as of this recording. And you helped JoJo Siwa relaunch her career, the next chapter of her
Yes.
career, with the viral Karma music video. So, can you describe working with JoJo on this project?
So I've known JoJo since she was 9. She was a contestant on a show called Abby's Ultimate Dance Competition, and that's when I met her. And I remember throughout the competition, because I was working alongside of Abby Lee Miller. Abby Lee was like, "She's never gonna win this," and I was like, "And maybe she's not." I said, "But she's an entertainer." I said, "One day she's gonna be a huge star." So fast forward, her and I reconnected when she was 15, and I started working with her on her music video called DREAM. And from there, we've done like so many videos. But at that point, she was with Nickelodeon, and there were things that we could do and not do, moves that we could do and not do. So now that she's with Columbia and it's her quote unquote rebrand, we've got to just take all the bigger chances, the bigger risks, have more fun in how we want to move and how it was choreographed. So when it came to Karma, she had this idea of telling this story about her being with a girl and her girlfriend, but also being enticed by someone else. And does she take the bait? And all I said is, okay, we have to just figure out a way to tell this through movement. And so, our thing was, she's like, "I want to turn heads." And I was like, "Great, let's do it." So, going into the studio with her and really trying to help her create her vision and then bring it to life. And if you've seen the music video, there's, sort of like the white party on the boat. And so in that moment, it was all about telling the story between, her girlfriend and the other girl. And how do we do that with movement? One of my favorite parts is like, her holding her girlfriend in one arm while the other girl's coming over to her in the other arm, like enticing her. And then we all of a sudden just turn out and just do this like full pop moment. So that was really cool. But what I loved even more was the second half of the videos when she turns into like the beast. And the beast comes out of the water onto this island full of other, beast dancers. And I love the theatrical part of choreography. And so it was about, how do I now switch the movement and let it feel like, a creature from the water and her dancers? What is that move? So there isn't an official name yet, but this, if you've seen it, I'm sure everyone has. There's this move where she's like pulling one hand up and she's shaking and she's pulling it up again and she's snapping. And that has ignited an entire forest fire. Like, everyone has been doing it. Everyone has been going crazy about it. It's been really fun, but and interesting to see how fast it's caught on. But I love working with her because, Jacob, she really goes full out. She's 100% in rehearsals. And when it comes to her vision, we really bounce off of each other, and we really try to like get her vision out to the world. And it's been amazing and crazy at the same time, because I feel like pop music sort of says, it's crazy. What's going on? What's the outfit? What is this move? Like, what's this video? And it's just been a long time since I felt that sort of like mayhem and chaos, but it's been amazing. I've actually like loved working with her. She's always just a great artist to be in the room with.
And JoJo definitely has potential of being one of her generation's top recording artists with that. And before we got on to our conversation, I watched a music video and it was amazing to say the least. And right
Thank
now,
you.
I looked at it right now and it has over 37 million views on YouTube.
Woo! Unheard of. Like unheard of in this day and age for a new artist. That is unheard of. And I'm, like I said, I'm so proud of her. And I was like chatting with my manager yesterday. I was laughing because, I used to watch Saved by the Bell, and I love Mario Lopez. And just yesterday, JoJo had done Access Hollywood with Mario Lopez as she's teaching him the Karma dance. And I just started just like laughing, because I was like, what are the odds? Like, this is so crazy. So yeah, we're super excited. I'm so happy for her, and there's so much more to come with her.
And I can't wait to see your collaborations there. And it feels like a full circle moment for you, seeing Mario Lopez learn JoJo's dance.
Yeah, I used to love Saved by the Bell. I used to always watch that show faithfully, but I never, these are the moments, Jacob, that happen that you just never dream of or even imagine, because you just don't even feel like the worlds will even collide. And just see that like just yesterday, that was happening, just makes me feel good that, the inside of me, I can still create moments that will still affect the world in a artful way. And it's still happening today. So it was exciting to see that.
Awesome. I got to say this, and it's not just JoJo's world you're helping build, JoJo Siwa's world that you're helping build. It's also another world that's extremely popular with gamers. I'm talking about video gamers. And because your work has been featured in a popular video game, Fortnite. So can you please
Yes.
describe how you got involved with Fortnite?
So, the involvement, really came from two music videos that I'd done with Lady Gaga, the Stupid Love music video and the Rain on Me music video, which are two videos that I absolutely like loved choreographing. Loved working with Gaga, loved working with Gaga and Ariana. And, it was another one of those moments that I knew going into it, choreographing it, there have to be these sort of like what I call pop moments that are like kind of like hardcore dancing, but then it needs to be also moments where, truly anybody at home can do it if they love the song and love the movement. And so I just, got a phone call saying, would I be interested in having my movement on Fortnite? And of course, I'm like, yes, 100%. Now, I had never played Fortnite, but I had always obviously heard the hype, all the like dances that they have. And so, once they sent me sort of a rendition of, imagine like the choreography pulled from the music video onto the emotes, I got to approve, how they moved. Did it look authentic? Did I like the order of the choreography? And, when I saw it, I was just so blown away by how much the emotes moved just as we did in the music video, and how cool it looked. And I definitely approved it. And then from there, they greenlit it, and I actually ended up playing the game for the first time. And it's actually really hard for me. I was like, wow, but it was funny because I was like, well, when they dance, like, are they dancing in celebration? And one of my friends was like, no, like they're dancing like basically like at a risk, like they could still get like taken down or taken out. So to just see it in the game, I just thought it was just so cool, Jacob. But again, it was another one of those moments I just never in a million years thought would ever happen, but it did. So I was extremely happy.
And that's wonderful to hear. And I'm so happy to hear that that they were hands-on and you were able to say, okay, this is the right move, because it must be different going from music videos and concert tours to doing a video game.
Yeah, I mean, concert tours, music videos, you're working with, dancers, the artists, you're working in real life. But and there's something I would say about the human imperfection that makes us move a certain way. We have expressions and we're not always so perfect, but when you see it in AI, I mean, it's like they're moving perfectly. Like it's like there is no sort of imperfection, but that's what I like about AI versus humans. And as we all as art evolves, there still is a difference, but we can also come together.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's start. We got to talk about social media. So what have been some of the best ways that you are able to not just connect with your fans, but also showcase your work? Like what platforms?
Some of the best ways have really just been about, one, people just getting a peek sort of behind the curtain in my world, and using social media to, give them that peek into like what it's like in, like, let's say, a rehearsal, or what it's like on the set, or what it's like just, like fun moments with my artists that I work with. And in particular, like JoJo Siwa, who I think is a social media guru, like, she shows off these moments very often. And I think it's a great way for people to understand that, yes, though it is work, we are also still having a good time, and we're in there with dancers who are artists themselves, and that it's a great space. If it's something that you love to do, it's a great space to be in. And it also shows the grueling hours and the hard work and the sweat, and creating art isn't as easy as people I guess may imagine, because it really is a lot to bring together: directors, choreographers, hair, makeup artists, wardrobe. And so I just love that through social media, you can also get a peek into our world in a realistic way. Um, I think it inspires people to, if not do what we do, like find their own passions and to do what they love.
Absolutely. And that brings me to one of my last questions. As we are watching this, there might be dancers who are looking in from from not just millennial, but also from other like Generation Z and other and Generation Y who are ready who want to work with you and who want to get into the field. So what advice would you share with them?
What I would tell anyone who wants to be a professional dancer is please be a superstar dancer. And I say that to say that in this world of social media, there's a lot of people who come into the dance space feel like they have to dance and look and be and represent their artistry such as others have. And I always say it's the stars that shine, it's the stars that stand out, and it's the stars that I want to hire. Meaning, if your thing is big hair and wild movement, that's your thing. And how can you put that into your artistry, and how can you come into a room such as mine and show me who that is? I'm not looking for everyone to be alike. I like to cast, when I'm working with my artists, I love to cast dancers who are stars as well. I say that, when the audience is watching, they're also watching the dancers as well. So but they all still represent the artists whom they're on stage with. So I want everyone to be at their best, and I think there is greatness in your uniqueness. So I would just say, please stay true to yourself. Please learn as many styles of dance as you can. You don't have to be a king of every style, but a jack of all trades is always better than just being so focused in one genre that you can't come out of it. And be able to uh, be amiable in those rooms with the choreographers, because everyone's trying to figure out how to work with each other to produce the greatest art that we can. That's what I would say to them.
Wonderful pieces of advice, guys. Wonderful pieces of advice. And I gotta say, last question, are you ready?
Yes.
Where can my audience connect with you? And also, if they want to contact you and work with you, where can they find you?
You can find everything on Instagram at Richy Squirrel. It's RICHY SQUIRREL. Everything is there. From you're gonna look up like what I'm doing, what artists I'm working with, and even as far as like who you can like contact to get in touch with me. Everything is on my IG page. So go there if you want to find me.
Awesome. And guys, have you missed an episode of the Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar podcast? Visit our channels on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, iHeart, Podchaser, Spotify, and Spreaker. Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar, JACOBELYACHAR. Now, are you on social media? Because I'm on social media too: Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok. Jacob Elyachar, JacobElyachar. And guys, head to jakes-take.com for my music reviews, what's going on with America's Got Talent, who won the Masked Singer, and all my other interviews are on jakes-take.com. Once again, jakes-take.com. Richy, thank you so much for being an incredible guest for episode 300. It was an honor to talk with you.
Thank you for having me, Jacob. I appreciate you. And congratulations on number 300. That's amazing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And guys, thank you so much for listening. And whether it's your first time or your 300th time listening to me, I appreciate you. And here's to 300 more. Thank you very much, guys. Have a great one. Goodbye.